Wow. All right, here we go. Let's do this. We are live. It is Wednesday night. We're back after a week off last week, and I'm fired up because we got a fun one here today. Pretty chill stream. We're going to be taking it easy. Nothing too crazy, right? It is the dog days still. Not quite there to training camp yet, but we've got a fun stream planned here tonight. We've got some tier lists and a rare player for player trade to talk about, something that went down this past week. A little wackiness between the Steelers and the Dolphins. I'm excited to get into that one a little bit. It's not necessarily like two superpower teams that we're dealing with here, right? But both these teams are in kind of interesting spots right now. And I think the trades that they made kind of reflect the two different approaches these teams are making going into the season. It's pretty interesting, honestly. I'm talking, of course, about the Steelers getting Jalen Ramsey and the Dolphins getting Micah Fitzpatrick. So we'll get into that in a little bit just to start things off. And then after that, we've got two tier lists that the homie Caden was able to put together, right? We've got uniforms and mascots. So again, a little casual today. We'll be taking it easy, but it should be pretty fun. So fired up for that. But as always, you guys know the drill. If you're in here, feel free to say hello and chat. Look at that. We've already got Jack Gothberg and Caden in here. Let's go. Welcome to the stream, guys. Good to have you in here. Love I believe that's a new picture for Jack Gothberg. I'm trying to look and see right now. I might have to look later. I'm a little scared to click and mess things up right now. But saying, I know you didn't just buy a Panthers jersey. Hey, real ones know. I've had this jersey for a minute. I've actually had this jersey for like legitimately almost like 4 years now. I got this in like early 2021. Dude, I've been a Cam man. I've been a fan of Cam. I've been liking the Panthers. But yeah, I had to pull it out today. So, you know what? It's been a while since I've rocked the Cam jersey on stream. I actually remember the last time that I did. It was back in early December for one of my pregame streams. And I pulled it out because the Panthers are playing the Cowboys, and the Panthers are actually favored by Las Vegas, like the odds makers in that game. It was like the first time in 3 years that the Panthers had been favored, and then they got blown out. They got blown out. Maybe not, I mean, but they lost. That was like right in the middle of their big streak or whatever, and they were like almost beating the Eagles and the Chiefs, and I was like, let's go. The Panthers are favored. And I picked them, and then they lost. But I didn't like him in Madden. True. Well, that's different. That's different. There's a lot of players in Madden 20 that I don't like. But love the emoji there from Caden. We've got Wolf in here. Well, I guess, shoot, it's Dog by Nature now. Let's go. That's awesome. Matching the gamer tag. Dog by Nature, welcome in. Saying 2K26 cover is so buns. I'm making one. Dude, you should. That'd be sick. You know, I've seen the sports Instagram page. There's some good edits on there. Yeah, it's an interesting mix of players, right? But I totally get SGA making it. Angel Reese has actually been playing pretty well recently too, right? And just like the brand of basketball that the WNBA plays, honestly, her skill set of being so good on the offensive boards. Like I know people clown on her like, oh, she just misses layups and gets boards. But like, honestly, being really good on the offensive boards is a good skill set to have in the WNBA. But she's been playing pretty well recently. And then Carmelo Anthony in there too. Sure. Why not? Why not? Right. But it's one of the more random covers. That's for sure. We got Mile Marker. Let's go. Welcome, Mile Marker. Good to have you back in here. Go Lions. One pride. And Jack is saying, sup, Mile. I don't know why I was going with that. And we got Lovato back in here. That's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it has been a minute, but it's good to have you back in here. Yeah, season's coming up soon, man. Finally, we'll have some games to watch, right? It feels like it's been a long time since we've had a game stream, right? I mean, it's just been a lot of stuff like this throughout the off season, just finding something to talk about, right? But it's fun to just, get the streams rolling pretty consistently here. So that's been nice. But I'm trying to figure out top fans. That's awesome. I'm trying to figure out what that crown thing was. I'd never seen that before. Two Al Horfords in the covers AI. Look at SGA's thumb. That's crazy. Yeah, I've never seen these crowns before, but I wonder how they track that. That's interesting. Y'all got XP, it looks like. Huh. We'll pull up the 2K26 cover here. I cannot type right now, dude. I'm so out of it right now. 2K26. And we will switch over. This is going to be an interesting stream. My brain is at like 50% right now. Let's see. So yeah, here's the Leave No Doubt where they're all in it. And I guess they got 3 individual covers too. I'm trying to think. I mean, it would be kind of a shame if it was AI, right? I mean, like, come on, you're 2K. You can do better than that, but it won't shock me, man. I don't know. We won't AI audit the 2K cover right now, but yeah. I will say my 2K cover take, because there's a lot of dialogue about the 2K cover last year, right? It's just Jason Tatum going like this. And I mean, this one is pretty minimalistic too. Honest to goodness, I'm going to get on my physical media soapbox here for a sec. I honestly think a lot of sports video game covers, like, there's just not as much effort put into it now, right? Usually it's just like an action shot, right? You think of like the Madden cover last year. This year's actually looks pretty good with Saquon hitting like the reverse hurdle. But the reason why it feels like those covers just don't quite hit the same, right, is because very rarely do you get a physical copy of the game now, right? If you're getting 2K, you're not getting the disc and the case or anything like that. It's just an icon that shows up on your screen. I mean, shoot, like with Madden, oftentimes they'll change the icon, right? So you're only keeping your quote-unquote cover for like a month at a time. But anyways, I don't know. That's the real decline behind sports video game covers right there. We need to reinvest in physical media, right? There's just something about owning something. But anyways. Oh yeah, these crowns, that's going to be a bit of adjustment, but either way, it's a nice little touch. I don't know if there's like a YouTube update or something. Maybe that's what it is, but go get your XP, I guess. It's how much you donated. Interesting. Well, I'm sure once Jack gets in here, after that Rams lost donation, he might take the crown. We'll see, but... Interesting. Bloop it. Yeah. Just blurring the surroundings, right? Pretty basic stuff. How active you are in chat. Interesting. That makes more sense, I guess. Wow. Mile markers #1. Let's go. Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like that would be interesting because I don't remember a Caden donation ever, but either way, man, it's interesting. I'll be monitoring this. The Madden covers have been better. But, all right, let's just get into this. Let's not beat around the bush any further. We have got a trade to talk about before we get into these tier lists. So let's switch on over again. This happened last week. Was it like exactly a week ago? I think it was around that time. But Jalen Ramsey, there's been trade rumors all offseason. Finally happens. Dolphins moving on from him. Off to the Pittsburgh Steelers he goes. Rare player-for-player swap. Ramsey for Minkah Fitzpatrick. And then, I think this might have been a separate transaction. But either way, we also get Jonnu Smith going to the Steelers. Man, this is an interesting move, but it makes a little bit of sense considering how both these teams have approached the offseason, right? The Dolphins have always kind of been looking at a precarious situation going into this offseason. They've got a lot of older players on big contracts. They just inked a big extension with Tua last offseason, right? Tyreek Hill's getting a little bit older and he's expensive. Jalen Waddle just signed him to a big extension. On defense, right? Jalen Phillips is up for an extension soon. Bradley Chubb is on a big contract, right? I heard on a podcast today, I can't remember which one it was, but they're saying that the Dolphins have the fewest amount of rookie contracts in the entire NFL. And it shows based off some of the moves that they've made and just like having to let Javon Holland walk, right? Having to let Andrew Van Ginkel walk last year. Like these moves add up quickly. The cap monster will still get you. But the fact that they were able to get a player of Minkah's caliber back is really interesting. Now, Minkah didn't have the best season last year, and there are some reports of him like beefing with players on the Steelers, a little bit of locker room division. Maybe Tomlin kind of grew a little tired of him. So it's not the most shocking thing in the world that Minkah's on the way out of Pittsburgh. But it is interesting going back to Miami, right? I mean, clearly they still want someone in the secondary. They get a little bit younger. I think Jalen is still maybe a little bit better than Minkah, but you might get Minkah for a little bit longer. So I don't hate that, honestly. And you get a little bit cheaper too, which certainly helps. I mean, that's something the Dolphins really need right now. The Darren Waller move, I was shocked when I saw this. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, he last played in 2023, retired, tried to get a rap career going. I cannot believe that he's back in the NFL. He's always been a bit of a what if, right? He had 2 really good years with the Raiders, especially like 2020 just went nuclear. 2019, he was very good too. But just dealt with injuries a little bit. Always been a little bit of a tweener, right? Not a pure tight end, maybe not a great blocker, which I gotta say, in some ways makes him a great fit for the Dolphins. No disrespect. But I am curious to see how Mike McDaniel is going to use him in this offense, right? I really liked the way that they used Jonnu Smith last year. He was honestly one of their better players. So in some ways, it's kind of a bummer for the Dolphins to have to move on from Jonnu, but it's just so interesting. Like, what does Mike McDaniel want in his tight ends, right? Because he never really played Mike Gesicki because Gesicki won't block. And then they bring in Jonnu and they use him so well. Now they're trading him, and now they're bringing in Darren Waller, who could block like even less than Mike Gesicki. It's just so interesting. It's just so interesting what they're doing. I could see a world where maybe they unlock him and he has a decent year. He goes for like 700 yards, but as of right now, I don't know. I'm scratching my head at this one just a little bit. But as Mile Marker is saying, Dolphins got younger. Yep. And they also did get Melifonwu too, right? So they're getting a little bit younger in the secondary. I always forget that they brought him in. I've always thought that he'll be on the Lions forever, but rookie deal expired. There you go. Bring him in. I don't remember how much they paid for him, but that's a good depth piece right there. That secondary, though, man. Oh, that corner room is rough right now. You've got Storm Duck starting. Kader Kohu's fine. I think he's a little overhated. I don't know. Some people think he's like the worst slot corner in the league. He's all right. And I don't really have much of a Jason Marshall take. But Dolphins get a little bit younger. Kind of like halfway rebuild they're going through right now. I am very curious to see if this regime survives this season. Part of me thinks they might, just based off the way they behaved this offseason. This isn't exactly a GM and coach duo that seems to be acting out of desperation. They seem to be a little more patient and responsible this offseason, which I like. So my big famous take a year ago, I was saying back when I first moved to Cleveland, Georgia, one of the OG streams, I was like, my bold prediction is Mike McDaniel's going to be fired by the end of the 2025 season. And in some ways it looks like that might happen, but I wonder if Dolphins ownership is maybe going to be a little patient with this regime and they'll let them kind of go through this retooling period. But man, I don't know. They really hitched their wagon to Tua. We'll see how that shakes out. But either way, I don't hate it for the Dolphins. If I had to give a grade, I'll give the Dolphins like a B for it, honestly. There you go. The Dolphins corners are better than Bashaud Breeland. It's so true, man. I really tried to say, hey, he might not be that bad as our CB2. But for the Steelers, again, they're all in with Aaron Rodgers, right? Ask the New York Jets how that went. But I kind of respect it, honestly. If you're Pittsburgh, right, what else are you going to do? We've been killing them for years now. Oh, they're just stuck in the same spot. They're in kind of no man's land. They're not necessarily bad enough to get a high draft pick, maybe go get a big time quarterback on a rookie deal. But they're also never good enough to like make it out of the first round, right? They're always getting first rounded. It's pretty clear. Like they scrape into the playoffs, they get their winning record streak, but they just can't hang with like the Ravens or the Bills, They're trying. It's not perfect by any means. It's fair to question Aaron Rodgers at 41 years old and how good exactly he's going to be, right? And if he is even what he was last year, is that enough? That's probably only a slight upgrade. But Rodgers, DK Metcalf, outside of that, it was looking a little bare, but now, okay, Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith and Darnell Washington. Nice. That's a good tight end group right there. You might see a lot of 13 personnel this season, a lot of 3 tight end sets. Darnell's going to be the guy in line that's blocking. Freiermuth and Jonnu are a little bit more adept as receivers, right? And you have to imagine, man, if you're Arthur Smith, I know Jonnu Smith is your man. just followed him everywhere, right? This is the third start now that they've played together. But you have to maybe, look at how the Dolphins used him last year, right? A lot of screens, just get him the ball out in the flat, get him out in space. Not that he didn't do that when he was with the Falcons or the Titans, but really, really dial that up, So I like that there's just a little bit more juice with the pass catchers now. I'd still like if there's just another receiver, right? Outside of DK Metcalf, there's just not really a lot. But the offensive line looks interesting. The defense now, I wonder, Jalen Ramsey will probably be bouncing between slot corner and safety. I really think so, right? I mean, they're set on the outside. Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr. Slay's obviously a little bit older, but I mean, it makes the most sense for him to be on the outside, right? And then Porter, other outside guy. Beanie Bishop was all right as a rookie out in the slot, right? He had a few nice plays. He got picked on a little bit. He was up and down, but he's one of those classic, like, Steelers late round finds, He might have actually been undrafted. But I almost wonder, I mean, it shows on ESPN right now that Ramsey's going to be the starting slot corner. I do wonder if he might end up getting more snaps at safety. That's been a big theory with Ramsey for a while now, right? Sort of take the Charles Woodson route, the Rod Woodson route. Older corner that can move back to safety and extend their career a little bit just because he's so good in zone. He's so good at reading out the field. He's a pretty physical player. He's not afraid to come downhill and tackle. So, and again, like I said, like a month ago, there's a lot of people that thought he would just play safety coming out of college. So that might make sense at some point. I don't know if it'll be this year, but I could see that in the twilight of his career. And I could see him being a pretty good safety. So overall, I think the defense got a little bit better. I think Ramsey for Fitzpatrick, that's a slight upgrade for the Steelers. And then bringing in Jonnu Smith, yeah, you needed another guy. Now, is that enough to get them back in the playoffs? I don't know. I've gone back and forth, and we'll see come August when I do my prediction where they end up. I'm sticking with my take. They're going to keep their streak alive at least. Tomlin's going to keep his streak. They'll get their winning record. Beyond that, I can't guarantee much. They have a decent range of outcomes, but they could be all right. They could be all right. They might find their way into like the 6th seed again. Jack is saying Slay is washed a little bit. There's certainly some warning signs. He's on washed watch a little bit for sure. I think that's fair to say. You feel a lot better about him being a CB2 than a CB1 especially. But I feel like even in a perfect world, he's like a depth piece. Like he's a guy that you rotate on the outside with a younger guy. Steelers just don't have that extra corner, I like Joey Porter Jr. a lot, though. I mean, he's set and forget. He's their CB1. You feel pretty good about that. We'll see how Slay holds up. And corner is a very unforgiving position with aging, too, right? You get a little bit older, you're done, so. Dog by Nature is saying Rams should have gotten Jalen Ramsey. They would have won the Super Bowl. Dude, I was hoping for that, man. That was the one that I was really rooting for. That made a lot of sense too, right? Rams need help in the secondary. They didn't draft a single corner in the draft. I thought, Demon Les Snead, he's got to be cooking, right? Surely they'll be bringing him back. Surely. He loves it there, right? Surely they'll bring him back. Steelers was not on my radar. I was pretty surprised to see the Steelers come and get him. Panthers, that would have been another nice team too, right? Packers, right? A couple of teams that just could use a little more juice, another body in the secondary, even if it's a 30-year-old Jalen Ramsey. Still has a lot to offer, but good on the Steelers making a move. They're trying. All to stop the offseason champ Bears. Oh yeah, we'll see real quick how good the Bears are. Week 1, that one's gonna be interesting. I'm low key. I don't want to say nervous, but they play the Vikings. That one will be interesting. But Lions were doing shared practices with the Dolphins this season. Interesting. I always like seeing those joint practices, right? Sometimes you get a dust up or a fight or something, but it's always interesting seeing which teams are doing practices with each other. So Lions and Dolphins, I wonder why. They're just like, do you think that Dan Campbell just like shot Mike McDaniel a message on Slack or something and was like, yo, like, what if we practice together? Maybe it was the other way around. Maybe Mike McDaniel was like, Dan Campbell, we need to learn grit. Will you please practice with us? That's probably what it was. But yeah, Steelers being weird. They don't have an offensive identity. Feels like they just call random plays. Dog by Nature saying, yeah, I mean, year 1 with Arthur Smith, it was very Arthur Smithy. It is also very Russell Wilson-y, right? It's just play action and deep shots and running the ball. It's probably going to be more of the same with Aaron Rodgers. The big thing is going to be, can they get Rodgers to just buy into like all the motion that Smith likes to do, right? I feel like that's where the identity crisis is quarterback versus offensive coordinator, and both kind of stubborn people. So that'll be interesting to watch. But Lovato is happy that EA is bringing back the NCAA games. Such a great move to also have basketball games from different companies, and going for NCAA makes sense since you can't compete with the NBA. Yeah, that's something else that happened this past week, right? College hoops is coming back. I never really played it like that. I had a copy on the Xbox 360. Kevin Durant was on the cover. I think it was '08. Never really played it all that much, but I might give it a try. I feel like there could be a fun Road to Glory mode in the college hoops game. And yeah, the college football game, that's been fun. I think I might end up biting the bullet and buying it or getting the bundle with Madden or something. I think I will get it at some point. But anyways, that was the big trade that happened. Not much else for news right now. I guess there's been the collusion stuff. I'll have to read through this later. I haven't been super tapped in with this. I'm only like vaguely aware of what's going on. Dallas Turner got scammed. Yeah, that was interesting. This is actually big news. I'm shocked. A little, man, maybe not hipster moment, but I'm shocked that this story is as low as it is. This is huge. Sorry, wait, hold on. Eli passing on ownership stake for the Giants is above this? Well, I don't know. I'm being nitpicky. Whatever. Tristan Wirf's going to be on the PUP list to start the season. Yeah, what? He'll miss the first 4 games? That's huge, especially when you look at first few opponents for Tampa. It's Falcons, Texans, Jets, and Eagles. Man, that is brutal right there. You talk about, I mean, this is one of the biggest games of week 1 right here, right? 2 big NFC South rivals. It's in Atlanta. Man, you're going to be without Tristan Wirfs for that one. That'll be a fascinating test for this new look Atlanta pass rush. And then week 2 versus the Texans. Oh, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. Jets, okay, you should still be favored. And then the Eagles, man, that is just such a brutal break. Maybe the best tackle in all of football had to undergo surgery. Wasn't really on my radar at all. I guess he injured his right knee last season. I was just not expecting. I just figured, we'll play 17 games. This is actually a huge story, honestly. We're talking about one of the best players in the league missing about a quarter of the season in a big stretch for Tampa. This could genuinely change the tide in the NFC South a little bit. That is a huge, huge blow. Man, that is a bummer, man. I love Tristan Wirfs. $130 for both, Jack says, talking about the bundle. Yeah, it's a little pricey. We'll see. Maybe I'll have to hit DoorDash a little harder. Hipster moment. All this to stop the off-season champs. All right, here we go. Let's do this. Let's dive into these tier lists. As I said earlier, Caden took the liberty of putting together 2 tier lists for us. We've got mascots and we've got jerseys. We'll start with jerseys. This one's a little bit bigger. I like how we got some action shots, right? It's nice to see the uniform fully put together. We're going to rank these uniforms. There's not going to be too much thought that goes into this. I'm just going to be like, ooh, I like this one. For a few, I might like give a nice speech or something. I don't know how many are going to fall into the awful necessarily, but we've got a few different tiers here. We've got awesome, great, good, okay, mediocre, bad, and awful. And honestly, I feel like I might veer a lot more towards this. I like to keep things positive, right? I like to keep things upbeat here. There's a lot of stuff I like. When you look at like my team tier list, it's like, oh, I like every team, you know. Receiver tier list, Rashad Bateman is so good, right? But we'll see how it shakes out for uniforms. I'm looking at some good ones right now, though. So let's just dive into it. All right. First one, we've got 49ers alternates. So it looks like we've got home, away, and alternate for each team, which I like. It's not just ranking their collective wardrobe. You really get to dive into these different uniforms. I like this one a lot. I actually have a George Kittle jersey of this uniform. I'm going to put it in great. I think I like the red one just a tiny bit more. They released the red one a year later, I think. They started wearing these in 2019, I believe. And then maybe it's 2021 they started rolling out the red ones. I'm going to look it up. Red 49ers throwback. The red ones are so sick, man. But the white ones are really nice too. I like the red on red if they have that. Maybe they don't. Maybe they haven't done that, but these are sweet, man. These I'm such a sucker for the drop shadow and the block numbers. Man, what a classic look. And then you got the gold helmet on top. Come on. Come on. Just a beautiful color scheme. Classic football uniform. Red, I like it a little bit more. We'll just keep this tab open. We might be pulling up some bigger images, but we'll put this in tier 2. Red would probably go in tier 1, though. Oh, yeah. A little Minnesota Golden Gopher talk. Was it Sky-Yuma or Ski-Yuma? I always get it wrong. I know it's one of those two. The Crimson Chin, am I right? All right. Regular 49ers, honestly, I'm going to put these in great too. I'm a big fan of the 49ers wardrobe. We'll put the away in good, but man, the red, the gold, and the white, all those colors just go together so well. There's just something about the gold helmet with the red top and then the gold pants. That's nice. That's nice. For an away uniform, these are pretty good, right? You're a lot more restricted with your away uniform. You have to have a white jersey, right? So I get it. Orange Bears, honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of these. I don't know. They're all right. I don't really like that shade of orange. It's sky, but some say ski. Okay, so I'm right and I'm wrong both, but sky makes sense. I don't know. I also just have a lot of bad memories of these. I feel like the Vikings would just always play the Bears when they're wearing these and somehow lose, right? I'm telling you, Vikings-Bears, that's a cursed matchup. But I don't know. The Bears have a few other alternates that they've worn throughout their history. Alternates. I don't like these. They only wore those for their 100th or for NFL 100, I think. These were all right. I guess they have. I like these a lot, honestly. These are a nice look, but they don't really wear these anymore. And honestly, and I'll get to this, like hot take, like the Bears uniforms are classic. I'll give them that. And they should never change them. They should never like simplify them or modernize them or anything, right? But just straight up in a vacuum, like removing the historical significance, honestly, they're all right. I'll keep them in okay. There's nothing too crazy about them. Part of me wants to bump them up to good just for historical significance, but I don't know, like, they're all right. They're all right. Bengals orange on orange. There's just something about the orange. Here's what I'll say. I'm going to put this in mediocre. But I love these from the Bengals. I love both of these. Their rebrand was phenomenal back in 2021, right? Both of these uniforms are gorgeous, man. I also really like when they wear the white with the orange pants. I think they did that against the Chargers this past year. That was like the uniform matchup of the season right there. Yeah, look at that. The orange helmets and the orange pants. Goodness gracious, Lord Almighty, these are nice. This is a well put together uniform right here. But yeah, they crushed it compared to this. I mean, it was very dated. It was very 2000s. It was fun. Makes you think of like Carson Palmer, Ocho Cinco, AJ Green, Andy Dalton, but it was time. These are just so clean, man. I might have to get a Bengals jersey at some point because these are nice. These are really nice. Might have to get Joe Burrow. Represent Centennial Elementary, right? Bills red on red again. And if you follow NFL fashion advice, they had a really good tweet where it was like one small color tweak can unlock a whole look. Because I believe this year when the Bills wore these uniforms, I believe they wore white pants and it just looked so much better. Bills red alternate with white pants. I think that's what it was. Yeah. Man, One small tweak can unlock a whole look, right? Doesn't this just look so much better with the white pants? I don't know, man. I'm not always the biggest fan of color on color. There are some cases where I really like it, and we'll get to a few that I'm a big fan of. But this is like such a niche thing to point out, right? This is the first time I think they've done this. But there's a Twitter account that does like NFL uniform grades and stuff like that. They do really good work, honestly. I really like that account. But yeah, I just think this is a lot more pleasing to look at than the red on red. I think they did a good job. And I'm curious going forward if they're going to run it back with the red on white this next year. The standard bills, honestly, they're pretty good. Again, it's modern classic, right? That's another term that'll account will use, right? It's inspired by their old uniforms, but it's modernized a little bit. It looks like it belongs in the 2020s, but it's a timeless look too. So I'm a big fan. Broncos blue. This one's a little nostalgic for me. They switched to the orange in 2012, the first year that Peyton Manning came over. It used to be for a while, it was blue primary, and then orange was the alternate. Of course, back in the early days of John Elway, like OG Broncos days, it was orange primary, and the blue was a little bit lighter. But they rebranded in like 97, I think, and they had these uniforms for a while. I guess they updated uniforms this year. This is their old uniforms, technically, which grew on me a little bit. I didn't love them when they were first unveiled. They looked a little better on the field, and I think I've just gotten used to them a little bit more. They're all right. I don't know. I don't necessarily love this on like the shoulder pads, but it's whatever. These, however, my goodness, this is a look right here. This is a classic. I love the logo, the D with the bucking horse snorting, you know, and there's just something, I don't know, man. It's very 80s. Again, it might look a little dated. I'm not saying necessarily that they should wear these every single week, but I love that they pull these out. Low key, maybe they should. I don't know. It's such a nice uniform. It really is. These are all right. They've grown on me a little bit. It was probably smart for them to get an update. These are okay. Honestly, I'm going to say all these are okay. They're okay. Browns, the color rush, honestly, I said it was going to be very positive, but honestly, it's been very packed in the middle. The color rush, they actually wore those as their primary uniform for, I believe it was the 2019 season. Because if you remember, they had those hideous uniforms in the mid-2010s that said like Cleveland. You might associate it with the winless season, just the Hugh Jackson era in general. Those are pretty rough. It was so smart of them to just go back to what was working, right? This is a good look right here. They went back to this in 2021, I think. Yeah, this one's pretty good too. Buccaneers now. Again, same exact thing as the Browns. Same year, I think even. No, it was 2020. It was the first year that they got Brady. They went away from the alarm clock disasters, and they just went back to what they were wearing before. Good. Again, another good look. Home and away, I both like. This color, I don't even know what you call it. It's almost like, I almost call it like cannonball, like the cannonball uniforms. I feel like there's a little bit of potential, but the fact that they brought back the creamsicles and they haven't really, like they've only worn these once in the Baker Mayfield era, which is crazy to think about. Definitely the creamsicles are a better alternate than this. We'll say this is okay. There's potential. I'm not necessarily doing this in any order either. We're just going to do tiers here since there's so many. I don't want another repeat of the wide receiver tier list. That was crazy. I don't know how I did that. All right. The Cardinals. This one has been a bit divisive amongst uniform heads. That uniform Twitter account that I was talking about, they stood by these Cardinals uniforms the whole time. When they first got unveiled, a lot of people, myself included, weren't really the biggest fan of them. Just maybe a little bit too minimalistic, maybe a little bit too simple. Just, yeah, they needed an update, right? I mean, again, their uniforms are trapped in like 2006, right? They needed to upgrade, but just, I don't know. There's just not a lot there. They've tried to make black a thing, and I don't know. I just don't really associate the Cardinals with black. I always thought like a desert-inspired alternate would be cool. Honestly, this one's pretty boring. The away is pretty nice, though. The away I might almost put in good. We'll put it in okay. I'm not a big fan of the home again. Red on red, just not a lot popping out there. And the Arizona on the chest looks kind of silly. But Mile Marker's saying the red, and your dad is saying that they look like they're wearing Georges and Long Johns. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, Long Johns goes crazy. Here we go. Now we get to some beauties. The Chargers. Yeah, honestly, real talk, we're putting all these in the top. Chargers have my favorite wardrobe in the NFL. Man, all these are hits. I know this is technically an older one, but like the powder blue, oh, I'm so happy they went back to powder blue primary. The navy blue is nice too, though, and I like the non-filled in bolt, and then the aways are nice too. I mean, they have always, for as long as they've existed, had like maybe the best uniforms in the NFL. I just love this color scheme so much. There's so many different combos they can do with it. I think my favorites are this one, the powder blue on yellow pants. This royal blue one is pretty sick. I know some people prefer the navy over the royal blue. This one's pretty sick. Here's a few exceptions of like same color on same color that I'll give. And the whites look clean too. Cause you know, you got the bolt on the pants and the bolt on the helmet. There's still pops of color sprinkled in. It's not just like monochrome, you know? So I like that. But I think they were hinting at new uniforms, or at least like a new alternate, right? And people are thinking maybe it's going to be a little bit more inspired by this look with the white bolts. That would be pretty cool. But I haven't seen anything about that yet. Last I saw was like a few months ago. They're talking about it. These ones are sweet too. I mean, they're all good. They're all good. I need a Chargers jersey too. Real talk. Chiefs. We've got red on red, which I actually don't mind. We've got the red on white and then the white on white. They're good. They're all right. I don't know what. Is that Eric Berry against the Falcons? Is that the game I'm thinking of? Maybe. 2016 season. The 2-point blocked extra point. If you know, you know. That might be from that game. Though it looks a little. The equipment looks a little old to be Eric Berry. That's tough to tell. I don't know. They're all right. Again, it's another timeless uniform. Like, they should never change it necessarily. I guess good is better than okay. They're fine. I know some people say, like, oh, they look a little too, like, McDonald's-y, a little too ketchup and mustardy, but they're fine. They're fine. Indiana Knights. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of these. This will be the first one that goes in bad. I don't know, man. I see. They tried to do something. They tried, at least. I don't know, man. I don't know. Especially like the weird texture and like Colts and black helmets. It's like, I don't know. And the C, like I get it's supposed to be a C for Colts and kind of a horseshoe, but it just looks like everyone's a captain instead. And that gets a little confusing. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of these. They look a little, they didn't even wear them at nights. That was the other thing. They called them like Indiana Knights. They had this whole rollout and then they wore them at like a noon game. It's like, all right, man. I don't know. I don't know. Caden says, you monster, you rocking with the Indiana Knights? I mean, hey, to each their own, right? To each their own. Just not my cup of tea. Honestly, see, I can't say the Colts need an update, right? Because they're another timeless wardrobe. I don't know. Maybe it's just seeing Matt Ryan in a Colts uniform that just makes me go, ugh. But I'm just looking at this right now and I'm like, these are okay. I weirdly seem to like the aways a little bit more than the homes. I don't know why. It just looks a little better. I think maybe it's the white helmet and you've got the blue stripes. That just makes sense in my head a little bit more. I don't know. This is real riveting stuff, right? Goodness gracious, we still have so many to go. And I just smoked the microphone arm with my cup. From Anthropology. Shout out Anthropology. Got the chili peppers on the cup. I have my water bottle with me too. I was just too lazy to fill it up all the way. There's still a little bit in there, but I've got cold water in this glass actually. These glasses are very, very precious. They can't be put in the dishwasher. They don't handle hot drinks, right? You got to have cold drinks in here. There's a lot of care and maintenance that goes into the anthropology glasses, but aren't the chilies sick? Yeah, you can see that all right, right? They almost look like stockings, but there's a little stem there, I promise. Thought that was a sound effect. No, I'll need to get cooking on the sound effects though. I'll need to get my Stream Deck going at some point, get some sound drops, right? Gatorade, baby. All right. If you know, you know. On to the Commanders. This is a rebrand that I didn't necessarily love. We're going to put these down here. Did they even wear those last year? There might have been like one game where they wore them. Carson Wentz wearing that uniform is very fitting, honestly. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. Just, it's a very Carson Wentz Commanders era look. That's what I'll say. These ones are only slightly better. I'm just not the biggest fan. They did unveil Commanders throwbacks. They did unveil that like yesterday. It was either yesterday or today, right? These are beautiful. I mean, they just have such a nice look, right? And even when they were the football team for a year, right? Like, well, I guess that's not the football team. Like just such a classic look. And honestly, like I get they changed their name, but like that was really all you had to change, man. These are perfect. Like why are these not their full-time uniforms, right? This is just an edit on Reddit. Nice little rhyme there. Just wear these, man. Just wear these. Just wear these, you know? I don't know. I don't like the numbers. I don't like all the weird dots. I'm sure there's some cool stories behind it, but Caden is saying, what the? Is he not liking where I'm putting the Commanders either? I guess I'm just a Commanders hater for life, but I don't know. I just think they could be so much better, personally. Don't have to finish. I could just swap. Nah, we're going to power through. We'll power through. I'm locked in on uniforms right now. All right, Cowboys. Cowboys color rush. It's fun. They pull it out once a year. It's fun. The Navy is all right. I guess good. I'm a big fan of the classic, right? And I really do like the seafoam green pants. I think they've kind of gone away from those a little bit. It's always been such a unique color. Cowboys home uniforms. The seafoam pants. Low key, they just wear like gray pants now, right? Yeah. Here's been like the big thing that some people have been. Oh, I see what you mean. But this has been something that people have been tapped in with the Cowboys uniforms, right? You've got the seafoam pants and the silver pants. I like the seafoam more. I don't know. It just adds a little bit more to it. There's a little bit more character to it, especially with like white and silver. It's nice to just have one other color thrown in there, right? And this isn't bad. This is a classic look, but I've always liked this for some reason. My dad never seemed to like the seafoam pants. We would always talk about that. It seemed like every time the Cowboys were on Sunday Night Football, we'd be watching. He's like, those cowboy pants, they're just so strange. I did not mean to close out of that. That's chill. We'll just have this up, but yeah, the OG Cowboys, that's nice. We'll put that in tier 2. All right, here we go. Now to the Dolphins. So the standard uniforms, they're good. They're not great. They're good. I do like the whites, honestly. The whites are nice. But come on. This might be my favorite uniform in the entire league. The Dolphins throwbacks. This is another jersey that I would love to get. Both the home and away. I mean, look at this. It's beautiful. I mean, we could just spend the rest of the stream just looking at this, honestly. Even the old logo, too. The dolphin wearing the helmet. I mean, come on. This is uniform perfection right here. This is as good as it gets. Dan Marino wants the Dolphins to switch. Yeah, dude. They do look a little throwbacky. I could care less. They should wear these every single week. They should wear these every single week. No question. They're gorgeous. Not a big fan of the orange. The orange was fun with like Ricky Williams, but I don't know. Joe Flacco 5,000 yard season. We'll see. We'll see. And Dog by Nature asking, Pigskin, have I ever lost motivation when writing a script for a video? I'm going to let you on a little secret. All the time. And it comes and goes, right? Motivation comes and goes in waves. I am a bit of a chronic overthinker. And this has happened with pretty much every single video that I've ever made, right? Where I'll come up with an idea and then I'll get working on it. And then I might start writing it. And then I write a draft and then I second guess myself. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Is this stupid? Does no one care about fourth down? Does no one care about like play calling head coaches? Like, am I just off my rocker a little bit, right? Then I settle down a little bit. Usually have a nice little talk with my team, right? Which is usually Caden. Or I'll have a nice little talk with Christine or my parents or something. And then we lock back in, right? It's just a rough draft. And then we'll get back to it. And eventually you get that thing over the finish line. It is a process, but absolutely, man. I mean, I feel like any creative, any person that makes something, they experience stuff like that all the time. And, it's an interesting time in my life right now. I'm in between jobs. I'm just trying to figure out what the heck is next. And yeah, part of navigating that has been like navigating making another video. But I did actually work on it some today, so that's pretty exciting. I'm gonna hold my cards close to my chest for right now. I haven't really said much about this upcoming video. We're gonna keep it that way for right now, but maybe in a week or two on the next stream I might say something, but something is in the works right now, and I am pretty excited about it. I think it's a pretty good idea. I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. But that's all I'm gonna say for right now. Yeah, it is a little teaser. All right, back to the uniforms. We are, I don't know, like maybe halfway done. I don't even know. Eagles blacks. I prefer their Kelly greens a little bit more. These are fun. There's a lot that's ended up in okay. Midnight green and the away, those are good. I love the helmets. Might be the best helmets in the NFL besides, my Minnesota Vikings. But those are nice. I do like the Kelly green just a little bit more though. Dog by Nature is saying, for me, with the script video, I get scared that I don't have enough information, and I'm writing a lot of information for the Saints video and keep on finding more info. And a nice little shameless self-plug right there. It is a fine line to walk, right? Where you want to have information to back yourself up, so you're not just, like saying whatever, right? And like you want your opinion to be grounded in reality. Whereas at the same time, people aren't necessarily going to want to watch like however many minutes of just spewing facts nonstop. There's a fine line to walk, right? Best advice I can give is give as much information in as like be concise, be efficient with your words, or like show information on a screen instead of saying it so that people can read it while you're talking. Stuff like that. I don't know. And I'm not claiming to be an expert on any of this. I'm still figuring it out just as much as anyone else, but that's been a big difference for me. If you wonder why I like put stats on screen so much for my videos, or like, try my best to make like these rough graphics, they look all right. But that's so I can illustrate a lot of information without having to spend a lot of time, reading off every coach that calls plays, when you can just like look at the headshots, That's the Dr. Pigskin video wisdom, content wisdom of the day right there. Kelly greens are the best. I'm with you. But yeah, we got Pear Champ in here. Let's go. Good to have you back in here. I'm doing well. How about you? Back from the 4th of July, went out to the lake house in so stupid. I went to my family's lake house in Minnesota. Me and Christine got to see some family. It was a good time. Weather was pretty good. It was supposed to be pretty stormy up in Minnesota, but it held off for the most part. There was some rain here and there, but a lot of sunny days. A little hot, but nice to get in the water. And unfortunately, I did end up losing in the family beanbag tournament again. Lost in the semis again. It's a whole thing. We take that pretty seriously. Maybe one day I'll get over the hump. But we got some real writing advice from a real professor. Let's go. Best writing advice from Mile Marker for writing essays and scripts. Keep telling stories that use the info. Let's go. That's awesome. Mile marker asking where? Detroit Lakes. Not Detroit Lakes. It is near Fergus Falls. That's I want to be careful. I mean, honestly, like I probably wouldn't dox my family saying what lake we're on, but we're near Fergus Falls, if you know where that is. That's what I'll say. We're in Otter Tail County. So not quite Detroit Lakes, like an hour away from Detroit Lakes. But yeah. I was like, should I dox my parents? Probably not. You're welcome, Mom and Dad. But yeah, it is a nice area. It is. Yeah. Good times, man. Good times. Pear Champ got to go to the beach with his fiance. That's awesome. Let's go. Yeah. When I did my GeoGuessr stream, I don't remember if you were watching that. I almost doxed someone, and I was like, wait, nope, I can't say that. Yeah. My parents are on Lake Beep. Falcons uniforms. I don't like the gradients. I'm sorry. I respect the effort. This is something you see a lot in soccer, the gradient uniforms, right? I don't know. The Falcons need to rebrand. Straight up, I don't really like any of these uniforms, to be honest. I don't hate the idea of having ATL on there. I think that's a little fun, right? That's very unique to Atlanta. Like, they really embrace ATL, their abbreviation. Just rolls off the tongue. It looks nice. They can do better than this. We really gotta embrace the throwbacks for the Falcons. That's what I'm saying. That's another team, man. Just wear the throwbacks full time. Just wear the throwbacks. I'm a sucker for throwbacks. Yeah, these are phenomenal. I love the Giants. I love that they went back to the blue too. Like, this was their color rush, which is throwback inspired. You know what? No, we're gonna put the blue in awesome. These are awesome, dude. I love these uniforms. I love the Giants on the side. I think it gives a little bit more personality and flair than just the NY. I don't know, the collar, the little stripe. There's just something about it. And then the standard ones, timeless look. These will go in good. A little love for the NFC East here. Good. Yeah, look at that. Dox someone and see how you're gonna dox someone and see how I react on a GeoGuessr quiz. Pear Champ closed on a house 2 weeks ago and having the wedding at the end of August. Let's go. That's awesome. Congratulations. Big time moves right there. Let's go. House and a wedding in August. Well, congratulations to you and your fiance. That is awesome. I remember when you told chat back, I don't know if it was a year ago. My mental calendar's all jumbled, but I remember when you said in chat that you were going to propose. That's probably a better way to put it, but that's awesome. Let's go. Man, we're all growing up, aren't we? Jaguars uniforms, man. Rebrand. I just don't know. The black we'll put up here. They're just so boring, man. I'm sorry. For a team that has as much flavor and flair as the Jaguars, you're going to be trotting out in that. We can do a little bit better. I don't really like the Jets either, to be honest. I wasn't even a big fan when they came out. I don't know. There's just something wrong with them. Let's give me a try not to laugh challenger. Let's pretend. Oh no, pretend to talk to a parent. Oh no, what a reference. Hey son, I saw someone in a Mahomes jersey. Oh man. If Parker goes back and watches this later, he'll be cracking it up. There we go. Ravens Chiefs. Wow. Back in January. Time flies. Lions, the gray. I like the putty lion logo, the stretchy lion, like Lions throwback. I like the stretchy putty lion. I like it. I don't know. He just seems chill. I don't like how they had it on the grays though. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of them wearing gray. I'm being a little more harsh on some of these uniforms. We'll put this in okay. Now that I'm seeing some of the other uniforms down here, we'll put this in okay. And then they also updated their uniforms. These are their older ones. We'll pretend like these are their new ones because the current ones that they have are fantastic. The Lions uniforms now, They just rolled them out this past year. These are brilliant. They did a great job with these. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Much better than the blueberries, you know. Yeah, well done. These are nice. That's a nice wardrobe right there. Packers now. I don't know. These are okay. I will say the green Packers ones, especially in this lighting, are really nice. And I think this is a great photo for the Packers uniforms. I believe this is at AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World. There's just something about the Packers uniforms when it's a little bit darker. If you go to like Packers versus Cowboys, I don't know what it is, but the green and gold just looks so nice in Jerry's World for some reason. And you think of all the iconic moments of the Packers against the Cowboys too, right? I don't know. It's a nice look. Again, these will never change. These will never, ever, ever change. The new ones are great. The Lions, yeah, those are sick. The whites, I do like it a little bit better when they've got, is it green pants or yellow pants? Normally they don't do white on white. We'll do okay. Panthers. Let's go Panthers. Honestly, funnily enough, I think the Panthers are one team that's like really due for a rebrand. I don't really like these either. They're all right. They have some style. They're loud at least, but if I'm not mistaken, the Panthers have worn the same uniform in their entire existence, right? Panthers uniform history. I believe they've worn the same uniform for their entire existence. I mean, they've made like slight tweaks, right? But like it's been the same idea. They're a team that I think is really desperate for a rebrand. And I don't know, maybe with the young core they've got coming in, maybe next season's not the worst time to bring out some new uniforms. These will always be nostalgic for me, right? I mean, hey, I'm wearing one right now. Cam Newton was one of my all-time favorite players growing up. I loved these Panthers teams so much. I've still got some weird infatuation with the Panthers, right? This is look at it, like, I believe this is a Julius Peppers jersey. Like, it will always hold a soft spot in my heart. They could do better. They could do a lot better, I think. But Patriots red throwbacks, yeah. I'm so happy they brought these back. Honestly, all the Patriots uniforms are good. Again, it was not a nice modern classic. It's good to see teams kind of embrace the past a little bit. And they did that. They did that the first year without Brady too, which makes sense, right? Brady's gone. Yeah, you got to rebrand, you know. Leave the Brady era uniforms with the Brady era. And they were due for a rebrand. All right, so Raiders color rush. These are okay. But the classic Raiders, those are great. They're simple, they're historic, they're great. One of the few simple historic ones that I actually like, right? I'm like, oh, why is he putting them over the Bears? I don't know. I just think that they're better uniforms than the Bears, if that makes sense. All right. Goodness gracious, we still have so many to go. We're going to power through. My ADHD brain is not always cut out for these tier lists. All right, Rams. I certainly like the blue on yellow more than the blue on blue. Blue on blue, okay. I will say this look overall is growing on me a little bit. These are good, though. I actually do like these, and I like the bone ones, too. That's like slightly different shade of white. Let's just look it up here. Bone Rams uniform. I actually kind of like these. I will say, when these uniforms first came out, I was like, ugh. I don't know. It only took me like a year to get used to them. I know there's like some weirdness with the numbers, but it suits them. I guess that's not a very flattering picture of the bone. This looks a little better. And that looks a lot better, but these have grown on me. And I mean, it's the Rams, right? Got to support the Rams. Ravens, these are fantastic still. Again, they've had the same look pretty much their entire existence. Nah, the Blacks, honestly, these are so sick, dude. Those could be their primaries for all I care, honestly. Selfishly, I'm like, maybe the Vikings should be the only purple team. but even the purple and the whites. Again, maybe the numbers look a little funky at times. Maybe you think like, they could stand to upgrade. I don't know. I think they're fine the way they are. They could roll with these uniforms for a long time. I like how they feature the state flag, right? That's something Maryland is very proud of. They've got the Ravens shield on the side. But the black ones are so sweet, man. They're so sweet. All right, Saints. I do really like the Saints color rush. There was a time where these were like darn near their primary away uniforms. Home and road standard, honestly, could maybe use a rebrand. We'll put them in okay, because I do really like the colors, and the logo is sick. And they're not the most egregious offenders of like needing a rebrand. We'll put them in okay. I do like the white with the gold pants a little bit more, though. Makes me think of like Reggie Bush, Pierre Thomas. Low key, I like the black with the gold pants too. I don't know. I feel like they wore those this year. Did they not? But yeah, this is the look that I like. This makes me think of like the OG Breeze and Sean Payton teams, you know? Here we go. Yeah. I don't know. I like these a little bit more. But the color rushes are pretty sweet. Especially back in high school when they first came out. I was like, yo, the aura's off the charts. Pearchamp is saying his favorite jersey of all time is the blue Navy Chargers when LaDainian Tomlinson was peak. Yeah, man, we've got the current blue Navy Chargers up here. We were looking at the Chargers wardrobe a little bit earlier with the white bolts, right? They were talking about they might be bringing those back this year. At least that was the rumor. Those are pretty sweet, though. Yeah, those are nice. Those are nice. LT, think of like early Drew Brees with the Chargers. Yeah, those are some sweet unis, too. Seahawks. The lime green, I'm going to be real with you. I do not like the lime green. It's just a little bit too much for me. And this is another case of, I swear, the Seahawks always wore these against the Vikings in Seattle, and they would always beat us, dude. Some of the most annoying Vikings losses of all time came against the Seahawks wearing these uniforms, but I've just never liked them. But I also have like trauma associated with these uniforms. Here's going to be probably the weirdest thing that I'll do for this entire tier list, because I've been saying this for about a year now. The Seahawks need to rebrand. They need to change up their uniforms a little bit. That being said, I'm going to put them up here, and here's why. I think these are era-defining uniforms right here. I think that these are going to be looked back upon as like some of the sweetest throwback jerseys that you can own, because it's such a product of its time. It's such a cool little time capsule, right? These were like the flagship uniform when Nike took over NFL uniforms back in 2012. It's like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like the Oregon Ducks uniforms, you know? Before, Seattle just kind of had very plain, boring uniforms. And as Gen Z brained as this might sound, the Seahawks didn't really have that much aura, at least for like my generation, right? All of a sudden they get these sick new uniforms. Russell Wilson comes in, the LOB takes over. And for a few years, these were seen by middle schoolers all across the country, myself included, right? I was in middle school at this time. These were seen as the sickest uniforms ever, and the Seahawks were the sickest team ever with the LOB and Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll and all that, right? These get a major nostalgia bump. Like, I genuinely think, like, 25 years from now, you roll up in, like, I don't know, a Cam Chancellor one of these or a Marshawn Lynch one of these. That's just so unbelievably hard. I think these are going to age beautifully as relics and throwbacks, right? The same way that we look back at like those Raptors uniforms with the dinosaur dribbling the basketball. Like, those are noisy, those are loud. They're such a product of the 90s, right? Early 2000s. But now you look back, it's like, oh man, you pull open like a Vince Carter one of those, it's like, that's so sick, right? I think this is going to be the Vince Carter Raptor jerseys of the NFL. And I just have good memories of these jerseys. So even though I would not say that like these currently are better than the 49ers, I'm still putting them in the top tier. That's my Seahawks uniform take. That was the biggest uniform take I was excited to give for this stream. So there we go. Let's go. I'm going to have to get one of these at some point too. I mean, eventually. This will probably be many, many years down the road. I do want to get one jersey of each team, you know. I've got like maybe 8 or so teams right now, but Panthers, of course, are one of them. Make the noise. Make the noise. Steelers. I love the Steelers color rush. Yeah. There's a few color rushes that Nike did a good job with. Saints, Steelers are nice. The Ravens ones are pretty nice too. The Bengals, obviously. I guess this was post color rush era, but you know what I mean. But these are sweet. These are really cool. And then the regulars again. Yeah, we'll put them up in great too. Texans rebranded. We'll pretend like these are the new ones. They grew on me a little bit, but still just kind of they're okay. I'll say that the Texans uniforms are okay. Titans rebranded back in like 2017. Low-key, they could again. I kind of like this color for the Titans, though. This color works for me. I just don't love like the design of the jerseys, to be honest. And I don't like the dark blue. I strongly prefer the light blue for the Titans to the dark blue. And finally, the Minnesota Vikings. We've got purple on purple, purple on white, and white on white. Well, they're pretty good. And I hope that they stick with these for a little bit longer. Some people have been saying the Vikings should rebrand. We'll say purple on purple is good. We'll say purple on white is great. No bias. And we'll say white on white is good. I do prefer the purple pants for these, and then the white pants for these. And I really, really like the throwbacks that we unveiled 2 years ago. Oh, baby. Yeah. I have an Andrew Van Ginkel one of these. These are so sick. Well done. Well done. But yeah. There you have it. That's the uniform tier list. Go ahead, get your screenshots, get your clips in or whatever, right? Yeah, I guess it's a little too big for that. But we just had some fun, giving some uniform takes off. There's none in awful. We got to put one in awful, right? We got to put one in awful. Screw it. Drama. But overall, look at that. There's a lot in the top 3 tiers. I feel like if you're in the top 3 tiers, you're in good shape uniform wise, right? If you're down here, let's start firing up Photoshop and making some edits. Put the Lions grays in awful. We'll bump them down to bad, honestly. Yeah, I don't really like these. I don't like these. I could get down with that. But trauma. Oh, where's the low key? I like the bumblebee. The bumblebee might have snuck into good. I actually kind of like the bumblebee. Maybe there's a twinge of irony with that, but I actually kind of like the bumblebee. Yeah, I said bumblebee wrong, but that was fun. That was a good one. We've got one more here before we call it a night. Mascots. And this, we've just got S, A, B, C, and D. Now, Caden was saying maybe the best way to judge this, because there's a few different ways, right? Just best mascot objectively, like which mascot is the best at their job, which mascot's design do you like the best, their vibe, their aura, or as Caden says, maybe a mascot that you just like to get a drink with, just maybe have over, play some Mario Kart, hang out, throw a pizza in the oven, right? Something like that. There's a lot of different ways you could take this. I believe every team except for one has a mascot. The Packers do not have a mascot. Some are better than others. I'm looking right now. Some are better than others. We have this thing, which is just a head with legs. Is that supposed to be the Raiders? Why do they not have like... I mean, I guess he kind of looks like a bandit. I'm sorry, man. What is that? We're putting that in D. It's just a head with legs. Miles, I actually really like. Miles seems really cool. I like the big smile he's got on his face, right? You know, he's... he had that really good commercial with Blitz, the Seahawks mascot, right around Super Bowl time when they were playing against each other back in 2014. It was one of the ESPN commercials. They're like fighting in the elevator. And Miles also has Arby's sponsorships too, so good for him. He's got a little Arby's patch on his jersey. Oh, he's banging the drum at the Denver games, so Miles is cool. I like him. I don't know the Eagles' name. No, we'll put him in B. He kind of gets outshined by a live eagle at the Eagles games a little bit, right? Which, like, what can you do? So we'll put him in B. The Hog. I forgot the Hog's name for the Commanders, too. I like it. I'm actually going to put him in A just because I like paying homage to the Hogs, which was like the old school Commanders offensive line back in, was it the 80s or 70s with Russ Grimm and the likes when they won a Super Bowl. So I like that. And then they had like super fans that would dress up like Hogs too. The Hogettes, I think it was, right? So I actually like that. I think that's a cool, clever way to incorporate some team history into a mascot. It's way more fun to have a pig like that than opposed to like, oh, here's a Washington Commander. You know, this is way more fun. Pearchamp is saying the Jags mascot is the only one to wear Speedo. Take that for what you will. Dude, I will, and then some. I already knew that Jackson DeVille was going to end up in S tier. He's goated. All the tricks that he does jumping out of his plane, all the antics. He's worn a Speedo. He's gotten into trouble a few times, actually. He had a terrible towel incident back during the Ebola craze, which was crazy. He had a terrible towel, and then he held a sign that said towels carry Ebola, and then he had to apologize after that. He got in trouble with the league. I think the guy that originally played him retired back in like 2015. They've got a new one now, but cool design, wacky antics, and it's the Jaguars. It's the Jaguars. Blitz. We'll put Blitz in A with Miles. I feel like they'll forever be joined at the hip. Blitz is a little scary, but I feel like that's good. That's smart, right? You want a scary, intimidating football mascot. Sometimes you want him to be cute and cuddly, I guess, and fun, but I like Blitz. Fits the name. He just looks cool. I like him. The Wolf is all right. Again, Wolf kind of getting outshined by a fellow Wolf in the Chiefs organization. We've got the bank robber, right? Pulled up to banks wearing the Wolf mask. Chiefsaholic, that was his name. Not his government name, but you know what I mean. I don't know. I feel like I've just seen him so much because the Chiefs are always playing in prime time. He did have the security wolf moment back in like 2002 or whatever when a streaker ran onto the field and then the KC Wolf tackled him. I'll bump him up to B for that. How about that? I would like to. Oh, brother. All right. Victor. Honestly, Victor might go in like B or C. I don't know. I'm going to put Victor in C. No disrespect. Victor's a little eh. You know, the Vikings actually used to have two mascots. We used to have a live mascot named Ragnar. There's apparently a Ragnar from the TV show Vikings. But we used to have a live mascot named Ragnar. Yeah, that's what I was going to get into. They had a pay dispute. We ended up losing Ragnar because he started asking for more money and the Vikings weren't willing to pay up. And honestly, like back when I was like 15, when this first happened, I was like, that's so stupid. Ragnar's so greedy. Looking back at this now that I'm a little bit older and I'm seeing this, he's asking for $20,000 a game. It's like, dog, you're the Vikings. You make millions upon millions upon millions a year. You can afford to pay your mascot just a little bit more. But it was right before the final week of the regular season, the 2015 season. Vikings versus Packers in Lambeau. Winner wins the division. And this is when this was happening. And Ragnar, the guy who played Ragnar, ended up posting a video on Twitter where he like announced that he was quitting the Vikings and that he was going to like be cheering for the Packers on Sunday. He just like walked away into a snowy forest or something like that. But I was like, that was interesting. But yeah. So that's a little Vikings mascot lore right there. We have not had Ragnar for a minute. Yeah, he used to come out in his little motorcycle. And if you really want a deep cut of lore, my Roblox username, when I created my Roblox account back when I was like, 9 years old or something, my Roblox username was Purple Ragnar 28. That my dad helped me come up with that. Ragnar, right? The mascot. But yeah. Yeah, and cheerleaders too. I know that's been a big story this offseason too. The Cowboys said that they're going to be paying their cheerleaders a little bit more, right? Like they're giving them 4 times as much money per game this next year. It's like, dog, that's still like they're still getting pennies on the dollar. You know, like come on, like dog, we could pay everyone a little bit more if you're an NFL team, you know. And the Cowboys are just one of many teams, you know. Not to get all soapboxy again, but I'm with you, mile marker, right? Pay everyone, man. Pay everyone. And if you're the Bengals, pay your players. But yeah, Ragnar is way cooler than Victor. Victor's just kind of there. I feel like the Vikings mascot scene is not really recovered from the Ragnar fiasco, but there's a little lore right there. Vikings deserve to lose all their Super Bowls because of that. Caden says he's going to use that. It's a very funny story, honestly. It's one thing I don't remember if John and Alex hit it in the Vikings secret base documentary. I don't remember if they covered it or not, but that's like the perfect thing to throw in your secret base. Then like that's a very Dorktown story, you know? All right. Cardinals, I don't know. You're just a Cardinal. You're just a Cardinal. The Bill, he looks a little happy. A little too happy. The Saints, I can barely tell. They're supposed to be dogs or something. I'm sure there's like some significance with it. C. We're putting a lot in C right now. It's just like okay, cool. You made a suit of your guy. But, like, let's get a little bit more to it. The Raven, we're putting an A, though, which is maybe a bit hypocritical. But if you remember, the Raven mascot got injured a few years ago, right? And then there was, like, the shot of him coming out of the tunnel when he was back from injury. I don't know. That was pretty sick. That was the fact that, like, a mascot recovered from an injury and came back. That's pretty cool. And he seems like a little goofy guy. We'll put I forgot this guy's name. Back in 2023, I ended up Googling this mascot. And I don't remember his name, but I remember Googling him on stream. It was like, he seems chill, right? Look at him rocking the steel beam right there. It fits. Boltman is S. I mean, come on. Look at that. Oh my gosh. There was a Boltman. This mascot, well, I guess technically he's not a mascot. He's like a super fan, right? Like, I don't think he's actually employed by the Chargers, but he might as well be their mascot. But I remember the Boltman, like, Twitter account. Like, Boltman went to some, like, I don't remember if it was a museum or a monument or something, but it was something to, like, I don't know if commemorate or honor is the right word. It was like some sort of museum or monument tied to, like, a tragedy, and I can't remember what it was. But he went there in full costume, and it's just a very interesting visual. Boltman Museum visit. I don't know if anything is going to come up for this. This is an extremely niche thing that I'm thinking of. Boltman Twitter account. I'm going to have to dig through Twitter and find it later. I don't even know if his name is Boltman. But it was just, I don't know, it was just a very ironic and, like, interesting visual of, like, him in his full Boltman costume at this very serious museum. Looks like a crazed Jack Nicholson. Oh, yeah. And he was hitting a very somber pose, too. Like, he had his arms behind his back and his head was bowed, but he still had the mask on. I don't know. That just cracked me up a little bit. Freddie Falcon, he's cool. He does some cool tricks on it too. I've seen him perform live at Mercedes-Benz. We'll put Freddie Falcon in A. I like Freddie Falcon. The chin is crazy on the Saints. Yeah, look at that. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. Let's look it up. We have all this information available at our fingertips. Gumbo and Sir Saint. Okay, Gumbo's a pretty sick name. I don't know. Maybe I might have to bump him up for Gumbo. We'll bump him up for Gumbo. Sir Saint is a little cute, but like... Or maybe Gumbo's the dog. That might make more sense that this is Sir Saint and Gumbo is the dog. It's like, why is the dog's name Sir Saint? Yeah, okay. We're going to bump him up for Sir Saint. Gumbo is a little cute, but like... It's a dog. All right, that makes more sense. You met my dog, Sir Saint. We have some prospector guy for the 49ers. C. We have this thing. The Titans used to have a better one. You know what? Sorry, we're putting you in D. The Titans used to have that one mascot that like would eat people, right? If you think of the famous Iron Eagle call, it's like, oh, engulfed. Where's that? Titans' old mascot. It was like Spike if you went to UGA. The inflatable guy. Was there not an inflatable Titans mascot? Some of you might know who I'm talking about. Yeah, T-Rack. Or I guess that's just an inflatable version of T-Rack. It's the same guy. I like the inflatable one more, though. See if we can get a GIF. I mean, yeah, you get the points. You think you get the idea of what happened. Got so hungry it ate a cheerleader. Shocked emoji. All right. We've got a few more. We've got an angry looking bear. Kind of looks like the sea bear from SpongeBob. See? Brownie the elf. Brownie the elf is A. Brownie the elf is a great mascot. I like when they put the elf at midfield too. There's a good Jamar Chase quote about elves. He's like, called them elves and we lost to elves. After they lost to the Browns in week 1 of 2023. Okay, we've got this Texans Bowl. We'll put the Bowl pretty high up. We'll put the Bowl in B. Captain Fear is sick. I actually got to see Captain Fear at Raymond James Stadium. He was in a commercial a few years ago too with Aaron Andrews. Captain Fear is a great name. I guess it's not fair. Some of these mascots I don't know their name, but you know what? Skill issue. That's on you if I don't know your name. We have a lion. Let's see. Pat the Patriot. Terrifying. Sorry, this is a nightmare fuel. If you're like a little too terrifying, we might put you down low. The dolphin, C. Sir Purr, B. You remember the video of Robbie Anderson being like, oh, what's that bear doing? It's like, that's not a bear. That's Sir Purr, bro. We're the Panthers. Rampage will put an A. I like Rampage's aura. Very friendly aura, you know? That's funny. This is Rampage's Twitter profile picture. And the reason I know that is I actually saw today Jordan Rodrigue, who covered the Rams for The Athletic, is now being promoted to like senior writer for league-wide NFL coverage for The Athletic. The reason I know this is because I saw posted online like an opening for Rams beat writer for The Athletic, and I thought like, oh my gosh, like, did Jordan Rodrigue like get fired, or is she like moving on or something, right? Because she hops on a podcast that I listen to a lot too, and I was just job searching today, and I saw that posting. I was like, huh, interesting. Like, there's been a lot of turnover at The Athletic recently. But in her post, when she like said like, oh, I'm going to like, I'm getting a promotion or whatever, Rampage, the Rampage Twitter account, congratulated her. I'm like, you know, let's go Rampage. But anyways, that's just crazy. This is the second time I've seen this picture today. Insert Doofenshmirtz quote here. We've got this cowboy guy. He's a little too scary for me. And then we've got Blue. Blue is awesome, right? Blue's got like the patented hump move. Blue's always dancing around the goalposts. Blue's got that clip of him like stiff arming the kids during the pickup game. And it's a blue horse, right? I mean, blue horses don't exist outside of Lucas Oil. So here you go. Here's the mascot tier list right here. I feel pretty good about this one, right? We have all 31 mascots represented. 30, I guess. Not a team employee, but, you know, we're going to put him at the top. Shout out Boltman. Bull is S. Nah, not today. But there you go, man. It is 9:23. That was a lot of fun, right? Just nice, easy today. Nothing too crazy. We got a little trade talk in, and we got to do some wacky tier list. Again, shout out Caden. Thank you so much for putting this all together. As he was saying in chat earlier, we've got a lot of stuff like that coming. We're wading our way through, man. Believe it or not, there is NFL football this month. Now it's the Hall of Fame game, so that barely counts. I might go live for the Hall of Fame game if I'm really feeling like a degenerate. We'll see. There is a chance we go live for the Hall of Fame game just because I miss game streams so much. I miss watching football so much. I'm really starting to feel the itch now. You know, I didn't mind for a while having a little break from football, right? The off season was nice, but it's just so long now that the draft is long done and there's just not much happening right now. I'm so ready for games to be played again, right? Man, right now on Twitter, it's like we're having Ray Lewis debates. It's like, goodness gracious, can we please just play some real football again? But good question for Pear Champ before we sign off here, asking if there's any update on the Fantasy Football Discord League. Well, I tell you what, since it is July now, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to put down on my to-do list here for these next few weeks, is I'll probably set up a channel or something, and we can coordinate that. But yeah, I certainly have some names in mind. But yeah, man, pretty much everyone that was in that stream last week, or not last week, but you know what I mean. But yeah, no concrete updates right now. But like I'll probably make a channel in Discord or something here within the next few weeks so we can start like actually planning a date for the draft. But we'll figure out a day that works best for us. I might go live for that too. We'll see. I might have a little fun with that. I might go live or we'll do something with that at least. But that is the update that I have right now. The update is that I have no updates. But yeah, July 31st, man, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's been so long. It's hard to believe. Honestly, the Super Bowl really does feel like a long time ago. But that's all I've got for today. Nice chill stream, about an hour and a half. That's not too bad. I appreciate you guys tuning in. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I will see you guys here again next week. Got something fun planned for that. Keep your eyes peeled. I'll say something. Community post, Discord. You know the drill. But until next time, y'all take care. Y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good rest of your week. And have some fun this weekend.